When I was very young, I used to play a game. You're allowed to make fun of my middle name if you can pronounce it correctly. It was the deflection of bullying because they would start arguing about how to pronounce this. And to a bunch of white kids on a school bus in Sugar Land, Texas, they would never think to pronounce the I as an E sound. So it worked. They never got it right. Literally ever. In the 90s, they'd never heard that word before. Both of my parents worked full-time jobs, which means after school I went to a daycare, and every year when doing icebreakers, the counselors could never avoid making a joke along the lines of, "Oh, what cereal is your mom from? Frosted Flakes or Lucky Charms?" 20 years ago today, I'd woken up late, was on my way to the college cafeteria, and a guy who is still my friend today looked me in the eyes and said, "I'm going to kill every last one of those heads," which, out of the blue, out of context, was quite shocking. From that day forward, whenever flying, my family had to implement the extra 20-minute rule. If you're Arab and Muslim, you know what I'm talking about. For those who don't get it, we would always get security checked. We have Arabic middle names. My mom is a Syrian immigrant. My brother especially just happened to go study abroad in Beirut in 2001. So if we were flying with him, we got checked 100% of the time. A lot of you watching this weren't alive when all this stuff transpired, which is totally fine. It was basically a very overt bigotry that's almost become more insidious since then. Now it's just like this empty, vague excuse. I had close family and friends in the city on that day. I would never detract from the horror or trauma of those events, but some of them were Arabs who then experienced racism while mourning their own city. If we want to remember, that means doing justice to the entire experience of how it affected all of our lives. And when I say our, I'm not just speaking as a Syrian immigrant's son deflecting bullying on a school bus with name games. I'm speaking as an American. Because not only were vague emotional appeals, similar to the ones you'll see in your feed all day today, used in the wake of the 9/11 attacks to vilify, divide, and sometimes kill people like me, they were used as an excuse to take away our rights to privacy, predatory recruiting, and further destabilizing the entire world in the name of greed. So as you see one emotional appeal scroll past your feed after another today, all I ask is that you remember nuance, context, and compassion, because this is a complicated day for anybody of Arab or Muslim descent, or even if you just happen to have an Arabic middle name.